Welcome to the MLB Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guys Nate Weitzer on the East Coast, and we've got Mo in the Midwest as well. We are looking at a fun Monday night baseball slate here. Quick reminder, we are bringing you those night games as we don't necessarily have all the time. We'd love to get you what's on the West Coast morning time. I don't know, it's early afternoon ones, but we have a good amount to choose from here. So we're going to bring you some best bets from this slate here. Make sure you do like and subscribe to that page as well, so you can continue to check out each and every one of these videos. We'll continue to bring you guys throughout the MLB season. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for this slate tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Actually do have a morning game here on the East Coast because Marathon Monday returns for the first time in 3 years, and we've got the traditional 11 a.m. Sox game kicking things off. Dylan Bundy at the Sox, Rich Hill going for the Sox. They at home. Plus 120 are the Twins. Over-under is 9 runs. Then we've got 9 night games starting with the White Sox at the Guardians. Keuchel going for Chicago. It's a toss-up in terms of the line there. Bumgarner and the Diamondbacks are plus 120 at the Nats. Giants plus 102 at the Mets. Interesting pitching matchup there with Alex Cobb and Tyler McGill. Just a 6.5 run total there, as Vegas expects those guys to perform. Pittsburgh is plus 150 at the Brew Crew. The Rays minus 138 at FanDuel here with as they head to Wrigley Field to face Kyle Hendricks. Aaron Nola and the Phils minus 165 as they head to Coors Field to face Chad Kuhl. The Reds plus 150 with prospect Nick Lodolo looking to bounce back from his rough outing at the Padres, and Sean Manaea. The O's plus 160 at Oakland, and then the Braves are plus 165 at the Dodgers, where Clayton Kershaw follows up his perfect season debut against the team that knocked them out of the NLCS last year. So opening at as far as these lines opening, it seems a little exploitable getting the Rays at minus 138 against a pitcher that's a bit of a wild card. I mean, so far Kyle Hendricks has followed the old home road splits, performing well in his debut at Wrigley and then getting shelled on the road. But the batted ball data is not good. It's very troubling from both sides of the ball in terms of giving up a 36% line drive rate to righties and 20% home run to fly to lefties. Last year, he had that issue, giving up 16.5% of a home run to fly ball ratio to lefties, along with a 5.7 FIP. And as we know, the Rays can stack lefties against you, and the righties that they do bring to the plate are ridiculously dangerous in terms of Rosarina and company. McClanahan, you know what you're going to get from him in terms of the first 4 or 5 innings, throwing very, very hard before he likely cedes to that bullpen. He's goes a little deeper than some of their traditional openers, but he's been able to embrace that role and throw even harder so far in 2 starts, averaging 98 miles per hour, getting an 18% swinging strike rate and just a 58% contact rate. Has been victimized by the long ball a little bit, but Wrigley Field, not a big home run factor anymore. I don't know if they changed the dimensions there, but it's just balls are not really leaving the yard that easily there. So like the Rays to do what they do in terms of just stringing together good pitching performances for multiple guys and hoping that the other team just doesn't have the same. And I don't think the Cubs have the same.
Yeah, I was looking at the Rays pretty close as well, actually. I don't have it as bettable value, but it's pretty much on the border. So I'm looking to see where this line goes. I'm definitely in agreement with you that it's a pretty big pitching mismatch, I think. I only say I think because it's really hard to know, honestly, where Kyle Hendricks is at. He's tough to pin down right now after he had such a poor season last year. And then it looked like maybe he bounced back in that first game. And I was ready to just kind of write off last season as a one-off because he was so good for so long before that. But then he just went and got blown up by the Pirates. Fastball velocity down under 87 now. It's just I just don't see how anybody could honestly really bet on Hendricks right now, just based on we just don't know what he's bringing to the table. He was down 45% zone rate so far this year. I'm wondering if he's just like lost so much stuff. Yeah, he's kind of nibbling at the strike zone a little bit, the way kind of like a guy like Zach Greinke is right now. So just definitely a player I really want to keep my eye on right now, just to see how he performs going forward. And yeah, I mean, McClanahan is very good, up to 98 even right now. I think there's definitely a chance he's much better than the projections. He has been much better than the projections so far. And I'm kind of like regressing that a little bit just because I doubt he's that good, but man, he's been pretty awesome so far. And if he just keeps doing what he has been doing, then this line is definitely too low. So two players that I definitely want to keep my eye on and see how they perform.
Yeah, and I think you can continue to expect that from McClanahan. I do, believing it to that extent anyway. In this season already, I mean, 15 strikeouts in those 9 innings. As Nate mentioned, he's susceptible to that long ball or some crooked numbers. But I think so far, against this Cubs team, we'll continue to wait for the shoe to drop with that offense. But it seems to continue on. And then, at the same time, I think we don't know what we're getting from Hendricks in a Rays team that can't score so far this season, continues to have guys injured as well in that lineup. I think maybe a guy like Hendricks throwing Hendricks throwing roughly 88 miles an hour on average with that fastball tops maybe the top of that zone. So I think, there's plenty of opportunity there for them to maybe get some their offense right there. Let's move on to a guy we all know very well, Clayton Kershaw, taking on those Bravos. I don't know. What do you think there, Mo, in terms of how he's going to perform again in this second outing? As Nate mentioned, 7 perfect innings to start the season. That's obviously not super sustainable for the old man, but what are you expecting from Kershaw and the Braves?
So I'm expecting more great pitching, for sure. I still have Kershaw, him and like Max Scherzer, Verlander. I mean, I still have these guys borderline elite, if not elite. So expecting more great pitching from Kershaw. We saw how awesome he was in his debut, but I'm also expecting awesomeness in like a short dose. We saw everyone, the talk of the baseball town. He got pulled 80 pitches or whatever. I know he went 7, but that's an anomaly with 80 pitches, probably. So expecting, honestly, closer to 5. Wouldn't surprise me if he honestly only went 4. And I'm not a big fan of the Dodgers' middle relief. I think that's probably the biggest weakness on the team. So I just think even though the Dodgers, yes, they have an edge in starter. Yes, they have a better offense, especially while Acuna's out. And yeah, they're, at home here. So I still think this line is too high though. So I know Huascar Ynoa for the Braves is going. He had a little bit of a rough first start this year, but the sample is getting fairly reasonable of him being a good MLB pitcher. I mean, 3.6 Sierra in like 18 starts now, I think it is. And if he's really that good, it's kind of similar to McClanahan. If he's really as good as he's pitched so far, then this line is definitely too high. I'm not saying I have him like that good, but I think he's better than he's being projected as. And that's basically where these lines are coming from. So I think that the Braves are a little bit too big of underdogs. So plus 165, I think, is good enough.
Yeah, it's good value for sure. And supporting your point, the Braves have been better hitting lefties so far and getting a 14% walk rate. So they could work some counts and get Kershaw out of there a little earlier than the Dodgers might like. If I think Ynoa, is gonna keep them in it. And this is a team with so many dangerous right-handed bats that actually has gotten to Kershaw in his last 2 starts. He's given up 9 earned against these Bravos in the regular season. That is, we don't even get into the House of Horrors that is his postseason performance. I'm moving on to the stadium where we always expect offense, Coors Field. and expecting a little regression from Chad Kuhl, who let us down taking the over at Texas in his debut. Did pitch pretty well there. Or maybe he just lucked out. I mean, he gave up a 40% hard contact rate, got a nice 17% swinging strike rate, but just getting 57% contact, whereas his career is much, much higher than that. It's nearly 80%. And we went through some of his numbers last year in more hitter-friendly stadiums on the road. Gave up a ridiculous 37% home run fly ball ratio to lefties. So he's facing Schwarber, Bryce Harper, and the Phillies tonight. I think Aaron Nola will get some run support in this matchup, and he's been pretty good at Coors, surprisingly, I guess, because he's a guy who depends on his curve, and the thin air seems to affect the curve more than anything. But he's got so much hook to it, I guess even losing some of that is still a good curveball. He has 52 Ks and just 5 walks. While going 4-0 in his career versus the Rockies, won 4 of his last 5 against them, including 2 at Coors. He's been struggling with walks lately, but that indicates he has had his control against this Rockies lineup. And with so many righties in their lineup now, guys who chase too, and Cron and Grichuk, I think he'll be able to stay out of trouble in terms of walking a lot of guys and go deep enough to get this win.
Yeah, so one of the things you also had mentioned was you were looking at the run line. I think that's probably a good play here, just because Chad Kuhl is kind of prone to these blow-up starts because he's a really bad pitcher. And, he came through for us before. For me, I think I touted him against Texas, but, it's different when you're getting plus 140 against another bad pitcher. This is, Aaron Nola. And you did point out the curveball thing, but one thing that might be coming through for Aaron Nola and Coors, he's always been a guy who doesn't allow a lot of loud contact. And a lot of contact on the ground, career ground ball rate almost 50%, and career hard hit 31%, way below league average. So he's tough to square up. And when you're not allowing hard fly ball contact, that's gonna help you overperform a little bit in Coors relative to like some other pitchers, even at your same talent level. So I just think, even though I thought the money line was like pretty fair here, I wouldn't mind a run line play here with a road team that could score a lot of runs. Like you said, their offense, great on paper, a couple rough games recently, but they should really be able to tee off on Chad Kuhl, to be honest.
Yeah, nothing like a get right game to a guy who will probably be throwing a bit of lobs to some guys who can't wait to pounce on that in the thin air of Colorado for sure. I would follow you guys there at minus 105 right now, I believe, at DK on the run line as well, minus 1.5 for the Phils there. So yeah, I think they probably have some offense to get going here. This is a good time to start. So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. We're going to continue to bring you these videos each and every weekday of this MLB season. So until we see you next, happy betting.